What's up, blue collar scholars? We are talking coffee. Of course we're talking coffee. I mean, I'm the coffee roaster, so I feel like that's kind of expected, right? It is. So, but more specifically, we're talking fresh coffee versus stale coffee, not fresh coffee. Is there a difference? Yes, there is a huge difference in fresh coffee and stale coffee. And this is one of the things that, sorry, I get all flustered because I'm very, very passionate about fresh coffee. Fresh coffee is just like anything else. It's always better fresh. Fresh. Okay? So, what are the things, what does that mean, fresh coffee? I mean, it's a brown bean and it's brown now, it's brown 6 months later. What is the difference, okay? So, I'm gonna get a little nerdy here, okay? So bear with me, okay? So, fresh coffee, when you roast it, you're doing all these like chemical changes inside the bean. So not only are you taking it from green to brown, so you're caramelizing and you're doing all this cool stuff, but inside the bean too, you're changing it. So what it was when it was green, it's not the same when it's brown. Like, it actually goes through chemical changes inside, okay? And a lot of them are very volatile, meaning they disappear very easily, okay? So that's why coffee has such a strong smell, so strong aroma. So like you smash a bean, fills your nose with the smell of coffee, right? It's beautiful. But all of those smells going off into the ether, okay? So that's what volatile means. And so all of that awesome stuff is in there for a limited time, okay? So it starts to seep out through the coffee bean, out, and then it filters through that, like when we all grab the bag of coffee and we press it and stick our nose to the little nub. What we're doing is we're taking that aroma and we're pushing it out, okay? So what we're smelling is the compounds from the bean coming out of the bean itself, okay? So after a period of time, there's not gonna be any left, okay? So we run out of delicious smelling compounds. Now there's always going to be some strong ones that just stick there, right? But a lot of the more subtle, beautiful notes that come with coffee are only there for a limited time, right? So special offer, don't lose your coffee volatiles. But they're limited, okay? So that's what fresh coffee is like, full of all of those awesome things, right? Stale coffee is when all of those awesome things have gone away and what you have left is really just like the structure of the bean. Stuff that you're still gonna pull out. There's still gonna be some good stuff in there, but a lot of the like really awesome stuff is going to be gone, right? So think of a big field, grass field, right? During spring, there's lots of flowers and green grass. It's beautiful. There's all this variation and it's lovely, okay? Then come winter, the flowers are gone. All the pretty leaves are gone. And what you have left are like stems and dead grass. Really, it's not nice to walk on. It's not particularly enjoyable, but it is still there, right? Cows can still eat it, but it's not beautiful. It's not lovely. It's just there. That's kind of like the difference between fresh and stale coffee. And how do I tell if it's fresh or stale? Number one, this is also why I tell everybody why I became such a believer in it. Buy local, okay? Because a roaster will put the roasted by date. If you're buying it at the grocery store, they're not gonna put that date on there, okay? So buy local so you can get fresh. Number two, the bloom.
Okay, so one of the best ways for me to tell if coffee is fresh is whether or not it blooms. Okay, so this one we have fresh coffee. I just roasted this 3 days ago, so this is still at its peak. This coffee was coffee that my wife had in her desk when she left from COVID and has been sitting in the garage for, I don't know, 6 months. So not fresh. Thumbs down, right? So we're gonna start with that one first because, well, that's how I want to do it. So if I were just gonna put in just enough to kind of get this coffee wet, see that the water just kind of falls right through it, right? Not a whole lot of change to the bed. Water just went whoop right down. Over here, this one, start adding some water into it. You'll see that the water doesn't just fall through. You see these bubbles coming up, and then you can actually see it kind of getting bigger, right? This is the bloom where it kind of grows in size a little bit there, and that's CO2 that's coming out of the beans, and it's just going to keep growing and growing, and then that bubble pops. There's going to be another bubble here, right? This is the fun part of coffee brewing for me. I'm a nerd, I get it, but the bloom is my favorite part. So this, you can see the big difference right now, right? This has got this dome shape on it, and this is flat. Fresh coffee, stale coffee. Fresh, stale, fresh, stale. Okay? So that is one of the best ways to tell. Also, like if you guys have been watching, I had some issues back in the day with my brewer overflowing. It's so active, it can bloom and just kind of overtake your brewer. So if you have really active coffee, be careful with that. But active coffee means fresh coffee. This is not fresh. This bad, this good.
Okay, the bloom, tons of fun. I love the bloom. It's one of my favorite parts about brewing manually. That's one of the reasons why I brew manually, is because of the bloom. I just love watching it interact. I like interacting with the coffee, so I know I'm nerdy. But just to recap, okay? Fresh coffee, super important. If you're struggling getting good coffee at home, you could be using old stale coffee, okay? And if it's pre-ground, that's part of it too. So we sell it whole bean. We can grind it, but we prefer not to, because what you're doing when you grind it, you're breaking the bean open and then sending all those beautiful volatiles out into the world, not into your cup. Okay, so that's why we keep it whole bean as long as possible. So then we break it and then put water on it to keep it in the cup so that we can taste it. So buy local, buy fresh, check that roasted on date. Don't pre-grind if you don't have to. If you have to because you don't have a grinder, it's okay. It'll still be good, but try to use it a little bit faster. Okay, so then I wouldn't grind 5 pounds of coffee at a time, because the bottom pound or two is probably gonna start to get pretty stale by then. So I hope that helps. If it does, please leave some comments. Let me know your thoughts on fresh coffee. Have you had an experience with fresh coffee? Do you notice the difference? Anything like that, let me know. I wanna hear from you. I wanna talk coffee with you. I'm a nerd and I like good conversations. And I like them about coffee or anything else. So drop a comment in. With that, I'm gonna say, I do.